Can you see me and hear me clearly?
Yes, I can see you above.
Hello. So we'll begin our class for today. Sit comfortably wherever you are. Keep your back and neck straight. And as you feel ready, gently close your eyes. Start observing your breath. Watch the natural flow of your breathing as you inhale and as you exhale. Slowly shift your attention to your posture. Check the alignment of your body. Once you feel stable and comfortable, shift your attention back to your breath. And begin to deepen your breathing, going into the practice of Puraka and Rechaka. Relax your mind and prepare yourself for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep inhalation for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations. Join both your palms together and begin to rub both your palms. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your eyes. Open up your eyes, come back with a smile, and let us begin our session for today. So, yesterday we talked about the importance of pranayama, and we practiced the second pre-practice for pranayama, which is abdominal breathing, which is very, very important for you guys. Now, today we are going to discuss some general prerequisites of pranayama, right? So before pranayama, like I said, there are certain things that you should do generally, right? Which are important, that those things are achieved or done, right? So when you go into the pranayama practices, keeping these things in mind, your practice will give you more result, right? So these are the general notes for a practitioner, pranayama practitioner. General notes for a pranayama practitioner, right? So whenever you do the practices of pranayama, it is very important to incorporate moderation and common sense. Okay. So at any point of time when you feel dizzy, all of these things, you have to, these practices are designed to get you more in touch with yourself, right? So you have to generally apply a lot of common sense, especially when you're going for your own practice, right? Let's discuss some of the necessary points under this. So first thing is your contraindications. Contraindications. This term means who should not go for the practice of pranayama, right? So during illness, pranayama should not be practiced. Okay, so if you are currently having suppose somebody has fever, right? So during that time of fever, they should not practice pranayama. They can go for certain pre-practices, like they can do abdominal breathing. It is a pre-practice, right? They can lie down in Shavasana and just observe their natural breathing. That can be done, right? So some pre-practices, they can be done even during illness, but pranayama practices especially should not be performed during any illness. And each and every pranayama has their own set of contraindications. So as we will cover the pranayams in these classes, we will get to know which pranayam can be practiced and cannot be practiced by someone, right? So the cannot part will be covered under the major theme of or headline of contraindications. Okay. Now the second thing is the place of practice. Now the place of practice is also very, very important, right? Wherever you choose to practice, set your space. First thing which is very important for you to do is setting up your space. Like if you have a mini temple kind of place in your house, right? In India we have very one room or one space in the house where we go and pray, right? So that place is kept clean, right, at all times. So wherever you are practicing pranayama, especially keep that place clean. Decide or fix a place, right, so that when you enter that space, your mind is already triggered to practice, go for the practice, right? Then the place should be well ventilated. It is very, very important that the place that you are practicing wherever you are practicing, it should be well ventilated. And this specifically goes for pranayama because if the air where you are sitting, the air is moving really, really fast, right? Then also it will hamper your pranayama practice. And if it is too closed off, then again you will have difficulty in breathing, right? So maybe you can choose a space in your room or in your house where there is a window, right? So there is ventilation, the air is moving, but then the air is not directly moving like, it's not on your face, right? So because when you do pranayam, mostly you will be seated on the ground. So maybe the window is a little bit above and you are seated on the ground, and then you go for the pranayam practice. So this will help you immensely, right? So that ventilation is maintained. Again, don't keep changing your place of practice. Always keep the place of practice fixed. You can, design the space where you are sitting and practicing as per what suits you the best, right? So suppose some people, they really like to keep plants. So you can go ahead, buy some indoor plants and keep it in the place where you practice pranayam, right? Or you can uh, if you have the luxury, you can paint the walls in the color that you really like, right? So depending on what kind of space you have and how much freedom or access you have to change it, you can choose to set up your own space. So the place will act as a very, very important factor for the remaining of your practice, right? Next point, which is very important, is the time of practice. Now, when it comes to time, sometimes our mind gets stuck. Okay, so suppose I give you a particular time during your day when you have to go for the practice of pranayama. So your mind will begin to get stuck on that timing. And suppose if someday you wake up late or you miss on that timing, you will suspend your practice altogether, right? So for a beginner, as long as their stomach is empty or if there is a gap of 3 to 4 hours after their meal, they can go for pranayama practice, right? So for a beginner, because their main focus is to maintain their continuity. But as you progress in your practice, there are certain uh, timings during the day which are more beneficial than others. Okay, so one thing early in the morning, and second is when the sun is setting or immediately after sunset. Okay, that timeline is considered to be a very, very good time to practice yoga. So you will generally see, most of the classes of yoga also, they are either early in the morning or you go for evening class. Nobody drops in for an afternoon class, right? Because those are very, very good timings for you in the day to practice. So depending on your schedule, again, you can choose which one suits you better. Try to fix the timing. So if you have chosen, suppose 8 a.m. for your practice or say 7 a.m. So every day, yeah.
Could you repeat please about for beginner how many hours before or between meal?
Yeah. So for beginner or actually for pranayama practitioner overall, the time gap between the food and the practice should be there, right? So 3 to 4 hours of time gap should be there. After the food, I will cover food separately, but since it came up over here only in time of practice. So basic thing is your stomach should be empty. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but for as you advance, then I told you 2 timings in the day which you can keep. So suppose you fix 7 a.m. for your practice, then every day show up for your practice at 7 a.m. Okay, because the human mind, it's used to routines and it's easier to follow through when you have a fixed time for something, right? So our mind is such that if you are more in harmony with how your mind functions, how you are tuned, right? Then it will become easier for you to show up for your practice. Then next point is actually empty stomach only. So it is very, very essential that when you do pranayama practices, you are empty stomach. Okay, so in the morning there is no difficulty, because when you wake up in the morning, already you have had your last meal uh, on the previous night, so you don't have to take care of anything. You don't have to count the number of hours. But when you are practicing in the evening, then 3 to 4 hours of gap needs to be given before you begin your pranayama practice. It is also advisable that your bowels should be clean, right? So when you wake up in the morning, first thing you do, you go to the washroom. So empty stomach means that this entire region should be clean, right? So both the things, if they are there, then again the practice will have a very different quality to it. And if your stomach is full, then you will have difficulty in breathing also, right? So take care of this thing when you are sitting for your pranayama practice, right? Next point, which is very necessary, is your bathing. First, let me cover bathing. Right. So again, a lot of students, they come up with this doubt that when should we take a bath, right, after our practices. So it is quite beneficial for you if you take the bath before starting any of the practices, right? Why? Because, like, let me take the example of the early morning only. Suppose you choose your time to be early morning, right? So your body, when you take a bath, it has a very positive impact on your body and your system, right? So when you take the bath, you reinforce those things, right? Like the blood circulation, the blood circulation begins more efficiently in the body when you take the bath. Also, I don't know about you guys, but when you take the bath in the day, right, it makes you feel very fresh and ready, as if you are just about to go and do something, right? So this kind of mental state is also induced by taking a bath. The sense of cleanliness that it induces within us, right? So you wouldn't want to show up on the mat when you haven't taken bath for 2 3 days, right? So it gives you a sense of freshness and it prepares your mind for the practice. Apart from all other benefits, these few benefits for a beginner, they are very, very important because it helps them to keep them motivated. Now, suppose one day you are unable to take the bath before your practice. It is very cold, right? So it is very cold, and your routine says that you take bath when the sun comes up or during the day. It's easier for you. So make sure that after your practice, you don't take the bath immediately. You have to give at least 20 to 30 minutes of gap after your pranayama practices to go and step into a shower or take a bath. When we do pranayama practices, the body temperature changes, right? There is a variation in the temperature of the body, right? So if you go immediately after doing the practices to take a bath, then it will be an immediate shift for your body, right? Like if it is very hot outside, or suppose take the example of it being very cold outside, right? And you are sitting in a room where there is a heater, right? So if you immediately step out of the heater into the like cold environment, then you can cause yourself illness, right? This, like if directly you step outside. So always make sure that you don't put your body through an immediate change of temperature. It can cause illness in your body. So pranayama is like internally you are increasing the temperature, or internally you are decreasing the temperature of the body. So if you go for a bath immediately, there would be a shift in temperature, so it can cause illness. Second thing, whenever you do something, you should always take some time to observe what has happened because of that, right? So suppose I'm doing pranayam to increase the energy in my body, all right? I feel very lethargic and I want to do pranayam to increase the energy in my body. So I do all the practices which increase the energy and then I immediately go and take a bath, right? So now what will happen? What will happen in this case? The impact, I'm not giving enough time for the impact to show in the body, right? Now, all the energy that I have produced by doing that pranayam, that also needs to, be distributed in the body, or like the impact basically needs to be there, right? But if I immediately take the bath, then what will happen? That energy will not be able to, show up that properly. So you won't be able to see those results if you take a bath immediately, right, after your practice. So take half an hour gap. Now same goes for food also. So a lot of students, they ask this question again comes up. So before our pranayam, can we eat something, right? So like I said, you have to be empty stomach, right? If you feel weak, so sometimes students feel very, very weak. Suppose you are going for an evening class, you had your food at 1 o'clock, now you're going at 6 p.m. for your evening class. So now there is a huge gap between the time that you ate and your pranayama practice. So you might end up feeling lethargic or, sorry, not lethargic, weak, okay? Or you wake up in the morning and you are used to first thing that you do in the morning, you wake up and you eat something, right? So now when you begin to practice in the morning, I told you you have to keep the stomach empty, so you don't eat the food, and during the practice you experience a lot of weakness, right? Because of weakness you are not able to do the practice. So what can you consume before? You can consume lukewarm honey water, okay? So if you feel that your BP drops very suddenly, or you cannot take that chance, you cannot give this much gap between two meals, then you can drink lukewarm honey water before your practice. It will help you or aid you, right, to do your practices properly.
Excuse what honey water?
Lukewarm. I'll just write it down also.
Thank you.
Sorry, lukewarm.
Thank you.
Yeah, lukewarm honey water. And what about after your practice? So again, like I said, in the case of bath, if you take the bath immediately after, again, there is immediate change in temperature. Similarly, when you do your pranayam practices and you immediately consume the food, then again, you lose the main benefits, or you do not give time for the benefits to show up, right? So your practice will come down to, or the benefits of your practice will come down to zero because you consumed something. So one thing, the temperature of the body changes, all right? When you eat the food, right? When you eat the food, have you ever observed you feel more warm, right? Because food, it increases, when you consume food, it increases the temperature of the body. And second thing, all the energy, when we eat the food, all the energy rushes towards the digestion, right? Because that becomes the priority of the body. That the food that you have consumed, it needs to get processed, and then all the nutrition that is there, it needs to go to the different body parts. So if you eat immediately after your practice, suppose I am practicing so that my energy levels go up, right? So all the energy that I have, gained out of my pranayam, now where will it go? All that energy will go in digestion, right? I wanted to attain that, or generate that kind of energy so that I could do everything in my day. But when I eat food, all the energy rushes towards the digestion of the food. So again, you will lose out on the essence of the practices, right? So for bathing and for food, other things that you have to take care of is the before and after, both the things, how and when. half an hour gap should always be there, be it consumption of food or of bathing. Any doubts so far? Any difficulties?
No,
Great.
all is clear. Yes, thank
Sorry.
you. Everything is clear. Thank you.
All right, great. One last point I will discuss today. Remaining points I will discuss with you tomorrow. So one last point is the clothing, which I consider to be a very essential thing. Uh, the type of clothes we wear, you would have heard this thing, they say a lot about us, right? So generally you will see yoga practitioners, dressing up in a certain way, like all other professions. In other professions, like suppose if you are working in a hospital, they have their own, dress code, what they have to wear. Then if you go to a corporate office, they have their own dress code. And similarly, when you practice yoga, when you are a yoga practitioner, you have your own kind of wardrobe for that, right? So it is surprising to see that today in the market, when we go to buy clothes for yoga, practicing yoga, we see very tight fit clothes which will hug your body, and we also see clothes which have synthetic material, right? So the reason given for their marketing is that it has great stretchability. So when your muscles, they stretch and you want to do a full split, this cloth will support you in your practice, right? If you really want to practice you, so I'm specifically also talking about pranayama, but generally speaking, you always buy loose clothes, right? Because your body, it needs to breathe, right? If your muscles are, so tightly contracted because of what you are wearing, you will not be able to do any practice properly, right? And how will you remove the stiffness from the muscles, right? If the cloth that you are wearing, it is hugging your skin so tightly, right? So today, you for pranayam, what you can do, you can go out and you can shop, right? Everybody loves shopping, right? So you can go out, go shop for some clothes which are, where loose, which allow you to sit comfortably, right? So go buy clothes in which your body can also move. Now, it doesn't mean that you just completely change your wardrobe, but at least in the beginning for your yoga practices, you can keep clothes which are not hugging your body tightly, and they will support your practice also. So don't worry about that thing that this cloth will not allow me to move my body in a certain way. No, it will not happen, right? The cloth doesn't stop you from doing the asana, right? It is with practice and time that you increase your flexibility. Okay? So, loose clothing made out of natural materials, right? So, don't go for synthetic clothes when you are going and shopping. Look for cotton clothes or any other um, a cloth which is natural, because again, natural clothing, it will also give you more breathability, right? And it is more suited for yogic practices. Natural clothes that are made out of natural materials in general, like there are some hidden factors which lead to our success. So in that same way, getting the clothes which are made out of natural material, they are like those little things which will give you great success, right? They are just hidden behind, right? So whenever you find the time, maybe on the weekend, or if you find time today, you can go and buy two t-shirts, maybe two lowers, which are suited to your practices, right? So any doubts in the general notes? Tomorrow we will
No,
discuss more. Oh, great. So let's begin our practice for today. So yesterday we practiced abdominal breathing. So today we are going to practice the next breathing, which is your thoracic breathing or chest breathing. thoracic breathing, or you also call this practice chest breathing. So this practice is generally what most adults do, but they don't even do this practice correctly. Okay, so today we are going to do this practice also correctly. Chest breathing, as the name suggests, it is the breath when when you inhale, the chest should move out, and when you exhale, the chest should move in. This is the practice of thoracic breathing, right? So generally, most of the adults in their day-to-day life, they are doing chest breathing only, and they never switch back to abdominal breathing, like I explained yesterday. But even this chest breathing has become very shallow in nature, right? So suppose I am doing chest breathing as an adult, but I am very, very stressed. So I'm never utilizing the proper capacity of my chest when I breathe. So maybe my chest can expand more when I breathe in, and it can also contract more when I exhale. But generally, because I'm not aware of this pattern, or because I am so caught up in the day-to-day things of my life, so I don't give the time to even do chest breathing properly, right? So today we are going to work on this. I told you yesterday the right side of the lungs has 3 lobes. So last in the last class we worked on the lower lobe. Today we are going to work on the middle lobe, right? So chest breathing is a great way for you to activate the middle lobes of the lungs, and hence the proper oxygenation of this part of your lungs takes place, right? Even chest breathing increases the level of oxygen in your body, right? It is more uh, tedious to do this breathing. If you are used to doing abdominal breathing, you will find it harder to do chest breathing, right? It requires more effort than abdominal breathing, but nonetheless, it has its own benefits and advantages. Especially during physical activity, chest breathing is the most efficient way to breathe, right? So whenever you suppose go to the gym, right, you will see that as you exercise more and more, chest breathing begins to take more dominance, right? Because this kind of breathing supports the physical exertion that we place on the body, right? It is also the breathing which gets activated when we are stressed or under tension. So again, it is okay. Everybody gets stressed, right? The life is our, especially the modern life is designed in this way that we are constantly stressed by one thing or the other. So there is no harm, right? But what we forget to do is we forget to switch back to abdominal breathing. So next time when you feel you are stressed, switch back. It is okay in that time to do the chest breathing because it becomes the most effective way for you to breathe, acquire the oxygen. But when the stressful situation passes, you can shift to the abdominal breathing again, right? So, any doubts in the practice? As I inhale, my chest should expand. As I exhale, my chest should contract, right? Again, there is slight movement in the abdomen. Of course, when you expand the chest, your diaphragm also moves. I told you yesterday that the diaphragm, supports the breathing. So when you inhale and you expand your chest, the diaphragm, you will see there is movement in the diaphragm. Hence, there will be slight movement in your abdomen as well. But that is not your main focus. This practice can be done while sitting and lying down both. So whichever one suits you better, you can go ahead and adopt that position. Before we begin our practice, are there any doubts? Any
Can you repeat, please? I I wrote it activates the middle something of the lungs. What middle what?
lobe, middle lobe. I'll write it down in the chat box also.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you Google the picture of the lungs and you Google the lobes, you will see this division of the lobes of the lungs. So for better idea, you can just look at the image as well. You will get to know what I am talking about exactly. Okay, chest breathing again, it's very, very beneficial if sometimes people, and because of our posture we sit like this, so the chest gets constricted. So as you begin to do chest breathing again, your posture gets corrected, because you have to expand the chest, and in order to expand the chest your spine has to be straight, right? So my chest will only expand properly if my posture is correct, right? So for people who especially feel a lot of heaviness over here, chest breathing is a very good way for them to elevate that thing. So let's begin with our practice. If you feel like lying down, you can lie down. If you feel like sitting up, you can sit up straight. Just make sure whatever posture you're adopting, you're comfortable. Gently close your eyes and just start connecting with the natural flow of your breath. A few moments to just be with your breathing. Slowly shift your attention to your body. Check your posture. If you are sitting, your back and neck should be straight and body should be properly aligned. If you are lying down in Shavasana, you can keep the hands away from the body and take some gap between both your feet. Slowly come back to your breathing and begin the practice Puraka and Rishikesh. Begin to slow down your breath. We will go for the practice of abdominal breathing first. If you feel the need, you can place one hand on your abdomen. Shift your attention to the movement of your abdomen as you breathe. Exhale completely. Squeeze your abdomen. And as you begin to inhale, expand the abdomen properly. As you exhale, contract your abdomen and expel out all the air from your body. Continue with your practice, going deeper with each passing breath. If your mind tends to run away, bring it back to the movement of your abdomen. After your next exhalation, suspend your practice. Relax your hand and simply observe how you feel. Just note how much effort it took you to go for the abdominal breathing. Prepare yourself for the practice of thoracic breathing. So keeping the back and neck straight, you can place one hand on your chest. Exhale out all the air from your body. As you begin to inhale, feel the chest expand and rise out. Expand your chest properly. And once you have inhaled fully, directly go into the process of exhalation. Feel the chest drop down as you complete your exhalation. And then again go into the process of inhalation. So keep inhaling and exhaling while keeping your mind and your focus on the movement of your chest. Deepen your practice with each passing breath. Give equal time to your inhalations and exhalations. 3 more breaths. Completely suspend your practice. Just see how you feel after you suspend your practice. What is the state of your mind? How is your breathing? How are you feeling on a bodily level? Keep your back and neck straight. We'll just end our practice with some more abdominal breathing. So if you feel the need, you can place one hand on your abdomen or else just observe the movement in your abdomen as you inhale and as you exhale. Begin to exhale slowly and contract your abdomen completely. As you inhale, feel the abdomen rise. As you exhale, contract your abdomen. Go for a few rounds of abdominal breathing. After your next exhalation, suspend your practice. Simply observe the state of your mind as you end your session of pranayama. If you choose to lay down in Shavasana, you can slowly and gently begin to move your fingers and your toes. When you feel ready, join both your legs together and turn towards your left side, making a cushion with your left hand to support your head, and place the right hand on the floor. Slowly and gently begin to lift yourself up back into any comfortable sitting posture where your back and neck remain straight and your eyes remain closed. We will close today's session by chanting Om one time, followed by 3 shantis. Take a deep breath in for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations. Join your palms together. Gently bow down. Begin to rub your palms together. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palms, begin to open up your eyes and come back with a big smile. Any doubts, any queries, questions, any difficulty?
No, everything's okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Awesome. Great. So enjoy the remaining of your classes. I will see you tomorrow. Take care and bye-bye.
See you. Take care.